Good day and welcome to Electrical Technology Year 4, Term 2 for the June exam 2026. This exam will be on the 9th of June. First, we're going to start with the electrical rules. Respect the subject and know the dangers. Make sure the power is switched off when you work on electrical equipment. Do not tamper with electricity. None of the panel's ports power will be switched on without the teacher. Water and electricity does not mix. Be careful when you work on electrical equipment. Don't work with equipment if there is no supervision or if you don't know how to use the equipment. Going over to components for the first aid kit. It's plasters, sterile gauze, sterile eye dressing, triangular bandages, crepe rolled bandages, safety pins, disposable gloves, tweezers, scissors, alcohol-free cleansing wipes, sticky tape, thermometer, Skinner ice cream, painkillers, cough medicine, antihistamine tablets, distilled water, and eye wash. Going over to different crimping tools and crimping methods. First type is a hydraulic crimping tool with an attachment that can be pulled back, and it used to apply terminals or splices, hydraulically powered. So you don't power it with your hands, it's hydraulically powered. And then you've got the handheld crimping tools that's available in different lengths and sizes. This is a ratchet type, this is a handheld, and that is a hydraulic type that works with hydraulic fluids to give even more power to the crimper. Then we're going to identify two different types of crimp terminals. The first type is the closed barrel crimps. They have a cylindrical opening for wire, and the crimping tool deforms the original circle cross section of the terminal into another shape, and we are going to get to the different shapes. So it is a cylindrical opening that you put your wire in, and then the crimping tool deforms it into a cross section that crimps onto the wire. This method of crimping is less resilient to vibration. That's the closed barrel crimps, and then you get the open barrel crimps where you have ears of metal that are shaped in a V or a U. So the crimping part is open and the crimp terminal bends and folds them over the wire prior to swagging and the wire terminal. Open barrel terminals are claimed for easier to automotive because they are avoiding the need to funnel strained wire into a narrow opening space. Usually you will find open barrel crimps on jumper cables. In addition to the shape, crimp connectors can also be characterized by the insulation, insulated or non-insulated, and whether they crimp onto the conductor of wire or its insulation. Different crimp shapes is the C crimp, the D crimp, the F crimp, also known as the B crimp, the O crimp, the W crimp, the overlap crimp, and the oval confined crimp. Other shapes is a four-mandrel crimp, a mandrel crescent crimp, a mandrel crimp that is narrow, hexagonal crimp, a mandrel indent crimp, square crimp, trapezoidal crimp, trapezoidal indent crimp, trapezoidal crimp front, Tycho crimp, and a western crimp. Here we will show you the different crimp forms. This is the F crimp, also known as a B crimp. That's the narrow one. That is the normal one. Then you get a four-mandrel crimp that squeeze the ferrule into that shape. We've got the hexagonal crimp automatic. It it means that it can change the size from big to small with the axonal shape. This is axonal crimp. This one cannot adjust, it's only for one size. The mandrel crimp is a narrow one. We see this on car battery terminals. There's another mandrel crimp, also half round. An oval crimp, a square crimp, the automatic one that adjusts to its own size, and the square crimp that cannot adjust. Trapezoid crimp in a normal shape. In that one is in the front and it's in a V shape. Tycho crimp is almost like a diamond. W crimp and a Western crimp. Reticulation methods. That means where do we run our wires, above ground or underground? This debate continues. Both designs have the advantages, whether it's above ground or underground, the cables. The major advantages of overhead circuits is cost. An underground circuit typically costs anywhere from 1 to 2.5 times more than the equal overhead circuit. So overhead, it's much more cheaper than underground cable laying. Here's two pictures to explain it. Normally, if cables is underground, we can fill it up and nice and clean and it's tucked away, but it's more expensive. And then if you look at Japan, they have got overhead electrical cable supplies, and that is how your city can look like. But the cost difference vary wildly, and it's often difficult to define equivalent systems in terms of performance. Under the right conditions, some estimations cost report that cable installations can be less expensive than overhead lines. So it is possible to lay cables underground a little bit cheaper. If the soil is easy to dig, or if the soil has few rocks, and if the ground has got no other obstacles like water pipes or telephone wires, then the crew can also plow a cable faster into the ground for less cost than an overhead circuit. Here's the example for that. So there's no rocks in this ground, there's no water pipes, telephone lines, nothing. So they will plow, and as they plow, the cable will roll off the roll and go underground. Then here's a table where we have the overhead versus the underground, the advantages of each. The overheads has got significantly less cost, especially the initial cost to lay cables overhead. It's got a longer life, 30 to 50 years, where underground cables can only go 20 to 40 years after installation. Reliability. There's shorter outages during durations, because it's faster to find the fault and faster to repair a fault if it's overhead. And loading. Overhead circuits can more readily withstand overloads. They are much better to withstand overloads. Underground methods. Underground is better because it's visually there's no clutter. The safety, there's less chance of public contact. Its reliability, significant fewer short and long duration interruptions. Operation and maintenance, notably lower maintenance cost. There's no tree trimming needed because it's underground, and longer reach. You have less voltage drop because reactance is lower when it's underground. In urban areas, underground is almost the only choice. In urban areas where we find buildings, too many circuits are needed, and above ground space is too expensive or just not available. but urban duct band construction is expensive on a per length basis. Fortunately, circuits are short in urban applications, meaning from one building to another building is close. Or in many rural applications, the cost for underground circuits is difficult to justify, especially on long, lightly loaded circuits, given the small number of customers that finds circuits feed. That's from one farm to another farm. Aesthetics is the main driver towards underground circuits, especially in residential areas. We like the wires to be underground, the cables in parks underground, in wildlife areas, or areas where you have nice views that you can go and look on. You don't want to see electrical cables. The visual impact is very important. Underground removes significant amount of visual clutter, and this is examples of visual clutter, how it can look if it's above ground. Going over to joining methods of a cable, we can divide it into 4 main steps. First of all, step 1, stripping of the insulation of the cable. Step 2, select the type of the joint that you want to use. Make the joint and close it, and then you test the joint. Here's examples of different crimp connections and their applications. First of all, the red lux we are mainly using for voltage rating of under 415 volt, and it's for very small thin wires, 1 to 1.5 square millimeter wires. The blue one is a bit bigger. It's got the same voltage rating, but it's got a bigger current rating, 27 amps, and we use a 2.5 square millimeter cables to connect to the blue lock. And then for the yellow is even bigger than the blue. The current rating is a 48 amp rating. We use the yellow one when we are dealing with 4 millimeters and 6 millimeters wires. And there's the photo. How do we test a joint? Once the cable is joined, you can test your work as described above. The first test is mechanical, that the wire should not pull free from the crimp. When applying reasonable force, you have to pull on it to see if it's a good connection. It's a mechanical connection. And then you do a visual inspection to see that none of the conductors is exposed at the ends of the insulation of the crimp connector. And then you can test it electrically, where you find the cable that you have repaired connects to the existing circuit of both ends. You disconnect both ends from where it connected to, and at the end you twist the face from neutral and earth and together, and now you use a multimeter on low ohms range. So you're going to connect the neutral and the earth wire together, and then you can apply a multimeter on low ohms to measure the resistance between the face and the neutral, the face and the earth, and neutral and the earth at the untwisted end of the cable. The two readings taken with earth wire ought to be equal, but no larger than the face or the neutral's one, since the earth wire is typically thinner than the face or the neutral wires. Here are 4 methods of joining cables. First, we can solder it, we can put in a waterproof joint, we can heat shrink it after joining it, and we can crimp it. The minimum depth for armor cables that it must be buried in, it's a half a meter, 0.5 meters. So if you want to plant an armor cable underground, it has to be at least 0.5 meter underground. Then to identify different types of insulation, material like PVC, glass, asbestos, rigid laminate, varnish, resin, paper, Teflon and rubber are very good electrical insulators. The most significant insulator material is air. Yeah, believe it or not. Going over to hand tools, we've got a measuring tape, utility knife, Stanley knife or a carpet knife, combination pliers, hand file, fish tape, flat screwdriver, soldering iron, multimeter, hacksaw, helping hands, wire stripper, long nose plier, a megger, a Phillips screwdriver, a hickey or pipe bender, and a pipe bending spring. That's it. Enjoy studying.